Speaker for the Dead by Orson Scott Card is one of the sequels to the novel Ender's Game. After the traumatic events of the first book, Ender chose a new path to follow, pursuing peace after the violence he had been deceived into committing. Ender is now 30-something, well, 3,030-something actually. How's that possible? Relativity! Ender has spent his adulthood traveling among the many planets that humans colonized after the end of the war with the buggers, and it turns out that the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. This is a real phenomenon, by the way. The book is about the events that take place on the planet Lusitania, which is home to a small human colony and a peculiar tree-dwelling alien species which the humans have begun to study. The story focuses on the perplexing interactions of the humans and the aliens, and, in particular, a gruesome killing that ends up calling Ender to the planet. During his travels among the worlds, Ender has taken on the role of a speaker for the dead, a new religion of sorts. When someone dies, a family member or friend may call for a speaker who will travel to the homeworld of the deceased. The job of a speaker is to deliver the utter and complete truth about the life of the person who died. It is honesty unabated, moving, brutal, poignant, and detestable. A speaker states it all for everyone to hear. He carries his ethic of honesty into all his interactions, and truth emerges as a central theme of the narrative. When Ender arrives on Lusitania, he is met with aversion and scorn. The small Catholic colony is suspicious of the speaker and his motives. However, Ender surprises them by showing nothing but respect for their culture. He is met with particular animosity by the children of the family that called him to speak. The children have experienced trauma at the hands of their father and near abandonment from their mother. Upon Ender entering the home, the youngest child, Grego, a wild and hurt little boy, immediately tries to stab Ender in the crotch with a kitchen knife. While anger would have been the likely response of most adults, Ender stayed calm. He simply restrained the boy without hurting him. Ender told the little one only the truth. As Ender held him upside down, he simply says, "You know, Grego, if you actually break free, you will certainly fall on your head on a concrete floor. If there were carpet, I'd give you a chance of staying conscious, but there isn't." Ender is the first person to provide this boy with the solidity of truth, and through the rest of their interaction, he holds firm to it. Until now, Grego has simply been left to his devices, too much for his cold mother and anguished siblings to deal with. Ender's delivery of the truth is matter-of-fact, non-judgmental, and most importantly, kind. He simply states what the reality is, and the unshakable nature of the truth requires Ender to do little else. The truth carries its own weight, though it's not what Grego wants to hear. Being given a clear and objective boundary, truth allows him to begin growing again. He is stagnant in his development, catalyzed by the trauma of his father's abuse and perpetuated by the free rein to create his own version of the truth after the death of his father. Ender deftly disarmed Grego of his kitchen knife and subsequently went to work with his own sharpened truth, ultimately winning over the boy and calming him to sleep. At first glance, truth may seem a virtue to be pursued at all costs, and perhaps it is. However, examining our daily experiences may demonstrate that we often feel otherwise. Imagine you just finished your society, ethics, and technology video presentation. It took you no small amount of work, writing, editing, a whole lot of reading. After the graceful closing of your video that you worked so hard on, you finally breathe a sigh of relief. As you're leaving the classroom, a fellow classmate comes up and bludgeons you with their honesty bat. "I didn't really like your video. Honestly, it was kind of boring. It didn't seem like you put any effort into it." Does the fact that it was an honest statement make it virtuous to say? Sure doesn't feel like it on the receiving end. If anything, it seems like the harm caused by saying something like that would outweigh any possible good that could come of it. But is this really the case? Receiving such a comment would be an emotionally unpleasant experience, but that's only part of the picture. The teeth of truth can scour the gangrenous flesh of our ego, painfully ripping away damaged tissue so that new, healthy flesh might grow in its place. The scouring inevitably reveals the tender, naked skin of our true selves, but without exposing that skin to fresh air, the gash that our ego has worked so very hard to cover over will never heal. When Ender speaks of death, he is a forest fire, destroying the gnarled and twisted overgrowth that had come to strangle the trees. In his wake, the fire rages for a time, but inevitably, the flames quell, the ashes settle, and the ground becomes fertile with the elements of life. New plants grow that could never have taken root before, when their chance at life would have been throttled by the pervasive thicket of roots and rotting plants atop the infertile soil. By scouring the decrepit flesh of the forest, a new Eden will arise. The truth he delivers is like a blade with a razor edge. It is capable of swift damage if used carelessly or by the wrong hand, and yet carries within it tremendous potential. It can be used to effect change in the world of the user, to allow them to shape the woods around them into shelter, to catch, kill, and cut food, to defend themselves from danger, and to teach them the lesson to be wary of the blade, but never leave it behind. The truth is a tool. It is a vehicle, a means to an end. Growth. It provides a new footing where only a slick slope had endured for so long. It forces us to confront our actions, our nature, our very reality. It pulls us from the comfortably curtained depths of our minds into the oxygen-rich fresh air. While painful, the truth itself is the thing that allows us to take new shape and ultimately become the finest versions of ourselves. Perhaps author C.S. Lewis said it best in his work, The Problem of Pain. You see, we are like blocks of stone out of which the sculptor carves the forms of men. The blows of the chisel, which hurt so much, are what make us perfect.